I can only speak for myself, but paying it forward, it makes me feel good, especially this time of year. And that's kind of how I think of supporting Boise State Public Radio podcasts, paying it forward. That's because we don't require any money in order to listen to our podcast. You don't have to pay a fee to hear a locked episode. You don't have to subscribe to a feed in order to hear the podcast. You can listen and share to your heart's content free of charge. But it does cost money to make these things. And if you're able to pay it forward, between now and the end of the year, we would greatly appreciate your support. If you feel so inclined, if you feel so inspired, please go to boisestatepublicradio.org right now and click that blue donate button. Any amount, any frequency, it all helps the bottom line here at Boise State Public Radio. Thanks in advance for your support. And of course, thanks for listening.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. This is Idaho Matters. Idahoans lost more than $33 million last year to scammers. And a lot of those happened after people clicked on malicious emails or texts or links or attachments. So to help fight the battle against online fraud, Idaho's U.S. Attorney, Josh Hurwitz, has joined with several law enforcement agencies for Don't Click December. It's a consumer protection campaign, and he's joining us once again to talk more. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Gemma. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so can we talk about just how prevalent and bad this problem is? As I mentioned, $33 million just last year that Idahoans lost.
Yeah, I mean, that's staggering amount of loss. It can range from a few $1,000s per individual to sometimes we've seen individuals, including senior citizens, lose their entire retirements or their life savings.
So tell us a little bit more about the Don't Click December campaign.
So this is our second year producing the campaign. It was an idea that actually originated with an FBI supervisor here in Boise when we were, trying to unravel one of these scams and get victims' money back. And it's very difficult in some situations. And this agent said to me, I wish we could just tell people, don't click these links. And I said, well, we can. Let's do that. So last year we partnered with our law enforcement colleagues in Ada County and released 4 PSA videos that not only go over the general threat that exists out there, but actually specifically walks the viewer or the listener through specific scams. And so we've done that again this year. Again, we're releasing 4 videos, one per week in the lead up to Christmas. So number 2 came out yesterday, number 3 next week, and then number 4 on the 23rd. And we've identified 3 particular scams that we're seeing a lot through the FBI's reporting analytics. And those are QR code scams, what we call tech support scams, and an investment fraud scheme that's known as pig butchering.
Okay, so let's start with the QR code scam first, because QR codes are everywhere, Josh. So tell us what the scam is, but then also, how do you know what QR codes to trust?
Right, and that's the trick, and that's very difficult. But what criminals are doing is they're taking advantage of the fact that, as you've said, QR codes are everywhere. And they're essentially masking their fake QR codes on top of legitimate QR codes. Sometimes this might be on a website, sometimes it might be in a physical space that people are in. And the QR codes that are parts of these criminal schemes are taking individuals to fake websites and locations where the name of the game for the criminals is to get people to enter in their personal information or their credit card information or their bank account information. So in terms of tips to avoid these, just be very cautious when using QR codes. Match the website link that you're directed to the actual business or service that you're actually intending to go to. Be very cautious about using your financial information. If you're asked to pay for something in cryptocurrency, for example, that's often a red flag rather. So those are some of the things that people should look out for. And sometimes we're seeing QR codes in just bizarre places where we're not accustomed to seeing. So that's another thing to look out for.
So you mentioned cryptocurrency. So there's another scam going on, this investment fraud scam that, as you said, is referred to as pig butchering. But this gets even kind of more complicated or interesting, I guess, because scammers are using an AI version of the actor Johnny Depp in one of these scams. So what is this? How does this work?
Yeah. So I guess the Johnny Depp variant of this scheme, is something a little bit new and scary, frankly, because with AI, as we think we know now, you can pretend to be somebody else or use that person's voice and even their visual appearance to trick folks. But at its core, pig butchering is an investment scheme, usually involving cryptocurrency, where victims are persuaded to invest an amount of money. Sometimes it's at the end or at the start or the middle of a online romantic relationship that the online criminals have started, and they convince the victims to invest a few $1,000s in this cryptocurrency investment. It's going to grow. It's going to be great. And the victim does that, and then the criminals on the other end show fake account reports showing an increase in the investment. And wow, this is great. Throw in $10,000 more dollars, and we're gonna kill it even more. And so the idea is the criminals continue to rope the victim into investing or giving over, having stolen larger and larger amounts of money. That's the fattening of the pig part. This is a scheme originating in East Asia, and that's sort of how they view this, of fattening up the pig and then eventually butchering it. Eventually all the money is gone, and this crypto investment that the victim thinks they've been a part of is just nothing at all, other than, sadly, victim or criminals stealing victims' money.
So you have another one that you mentioned called tech support scam. This one's a bit tricky to spot. So how does it work?
So it works where often on computers, there'll be a pop-up. And I think we're all familiar with pop-ups, but it's you're looking at a website and then a new window appears, and this one will have some sort of warning or big red flag or warning symbol or exclamation marks to get your attention, and it tells you, hey, there's a virus on your computer, or sometimes it will even say, hey, your bank accounts have been compromised. Call this number for tech support to help you. In fact, the number connects you with these online criminals who will either ask you to enter in personal information or even sometimes give them remote control of your computer, in which case they will install malware viruses on your computer that can track what you're doing online, can obtain your personal information, or sometimes can access directly your bank accounts through your computer and steal money that way. So our advice here is, if you get a pop-up or a message out of the blue, even on your phone, that tech support needs to help you, and you think there is a problem, hang up and research your own legitimate technology support business or IT business.
So I want to talk about a scam that came across my text messaging just about a week ago, and I think I've gotten two now. And what's interesting is it says it's from the U.S. Post Office, and that they have a package waiting for me, but they don't have the right zip code, so they can't send it to me. So I need to click on this link. And now, granted, I actually was getting some packages delivered. So are a lot of people this time of year, Josh. But I mean, I was like, there's no way that the United States Postal Service is going to not deliver something because, they don't have the right zip code. They just have to look up the address. With that said, I mean, again, even simple scams like this are happening.
Yeah, that's right. We call this the package can't be delivered scam. And it was one of the ones we identified and made a video about last year for Don't Click December. And you bring up a great point. The reason we're focused on this problem in December is that people are online more, shopping, sending things to friends and family, receiving packages, getting ready for Christmas. So the criminals know that. And that's why you probably getting more of these texts these days than perhaps in the middle of June or something. But you're right. The government is not going to reach out via text asking you to take action. There's other ways that government entities do this, which is a good segue into another really common scheme that we're seeing, which is what we call government imposter schemes. So criminals can actually identify, let's say, the true name of a sheriff's deputy and mask the criminal's identity, and then call people and say, hey, there's an arrest warrant out for you, or you missed jury service, and in order to make this go away, I'm Officer Joe Smith. You need to send $500 of gift cards to this number, or go to this cryptocurrency ATM, and then this will be taken care of. Obviously, the government's not going to, hopefully, obviously, after this conversation, the government's not going to try to resolve issues in that manner with cold calls, asking folks to pay money over the phone or online, or even, by going down to a courthouse. Sometimes we've seen criminals say, hey, just meet me out front of the courthouse with $500 and get this taken care of. That's, a red flag. If you have a question about something involving the judicial system or tax records, go to the government office or call them at the number on whatever website you can find through legitimate research.
It's not funny, but I actually got that scam about maybe 6 months ago or something. And it was the, quote, Ada County Sheriff's Department calling to say that I had an arrest warrant out because I'd missed jury duty.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't miss jury duty. Yes, you did. And you missed it because it was by courier or something like that. And I was like, you send jury summons through the mail. You don't show up at somebody's house with a jury summons. And they're like, no, we do. And I go, no, you don't. No, you don't. That's not how it works. And I mean, and they really went on and on though, because I was really challenging them just because, frankly, I thought it was kind of, funny. I'm not recommending that you do that, folks, but I was curious to see how far they would take this, because it's like, folks, just know you will never be summoned for jury duty by someone bringing a summons to your house. It goes in the mail. And if you miss jury duty, you're not going to have an arrest warrant. But I tell you, Josh, I think this is the problem. And please correct me if I'm overreacting to this. When you get a phone call and it says that they're a law enforcement and they've got an arrest warrant or you've missed something, I think everybody gets nervous, right? Especially law-abiding citizens.
Absolutely. And the experience you just talked about, I think, demonstrates a couple things. One is that these criminals are professionals. I kind of view them as criminal psychologists, and they're trying to take advantage of for law-abiding citizens, our natural reaction of, oh, I want to solve this problem, or oh my gosh, what have I done wrong? I always intend to follow the rules. So they try to put a fear and a panic in you to get you essentially to do something that is a mistake or something you wouldn't normally do, so that they can take advantage of that. We've also heard of situations where they will pose as let's say Officer Jones and say, well, if you really have a problem, you should talk to my captain, Captain Smith. And so they're working together. They have multiple individuals on the other line to try to make it look more realistic or seem more realistic. We've also seen them, take the legitimate signatures from judges or legitimate court documents, which you can find in the public record, and try to make fake warrants that way, or fake jury summons that way, or fake orders that way. So it's really, really difficult. And, the last thing I'd say, or another thing I'd say, is that there's no shame in falling victim. Everyone is targeted, no matter your age, no matter your background, no matter where you live. From a law enforcement perspective, there are things we can do to seek justice and hopefully recoup any lost money, but that only can occur if people get over the stigma, and the embarrassment that people often feel, and report it to law enforcement so we can do our jobs. But I think one of the goals of Don't Click December is to make everyone aware that we are all going to be targeted. As I say, if you have a phone or a computer or electronic device, you're going to be targeted. And a percentage of folks fall victim. There should be no shame in that because of the relentlessness of these criminals. But there are things we can do once someone has fallen victim.
Well, and I will tell you this, Josh, in particular, that one with the whole, you have an arrest warrant out for you and they call you and they are acting like law enforcement. I mean, frankly, if I did not know how jury summons work, I tell you, I think I would have potentially fallen for it, because they are, as you said, I mean, it's that authority. They know what to say. They even give you, this is your this is the number or so, right? Like this is the docket number assigned to your case. This is that. It's very well done. And so I think you make a really good point that like, don't feel ashamed if you fall victim to this. Now, with that said, if someone does, you actually have an FBI tip line, right? That people can report this to.
Yes, absolutely. So, I also recommend reporting to local law enforcement depending on where you live. But the FBI has a website called ic3.gov. You can enter in your complaint there, and within 24 hours, it gets routed to a local FBI agent. So, if you live in Eastern Idaho, the complaint will get routed to someone who can help locally. Same in different parts of the state. That's a great place to, even if you haven't been a victim, to let us know about the trends out there so that we can investigate some of these larger schemes.
How can people find out more about Don't Click It December so that in particular, right, this time of year, we're going to see even more scams going on just because of the holiday season?
Right. So ironically, I'm going to ask folks to click on our website to learn more. It's at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Idaho homepage. There'll be links to our PSAs. A lot of our partners in Eastern Idaho, we partnered with the counties and cities over there this year, are also going to be sharing these videos, on social media. So you can learn a lot more by going to our website, and also the FBI. If you just go to fbi.gov, they're going to have links to anti-fraud programs. The FTC.gov has a lot of education materials as well.
I want to thank you so much for your time today, Josh. Really good information. We've been speaking with Idaho's U.S. Attorney, Josh Hurwood, about the Don't Click December Consumer Protection Campaign. We will, of course, put all those links that Josh mentioned about the campaign onto our website as well, boisestatepublicradio.org. I'm Gemma Gaudette, and this is Idaho Matters.
We could all use a little help navigating the news these days. The Consider This podcast wants to give you a hand. 6 days a week, we'll help you make sense of the day's biggest news story and what it means for you in less than 15 minutes. Listen now to the Consider This podcast from NPR.